Miles, what's going on, dude? How you doing, man?
Feels like forever we've done it since we've done this because
Yeah.
I wasn't here last week,
Oh,
and then
damn.
I think the week before was I in Romania? I can't remember, man. What is time anymore? What is this concept called time, Brian?
I don't know, man. I don't know, but yeah, you're right. Holy crap, dude! You've had some busy weeks. Yeah, Romania, and then your last Schemata Theory show, and then here you
Yeah,
are. Um,
and
every
we know when PSVR 2 is coming out, Brian.
that's the part of this conversation that doesn't feel real, right?
I know it really doesn't, and I can already hear my bank account crying with the inevitability
Yeah.
that in 10 days it's just going to get decimated.
Right. I know it's ridiculous because we all were like, oh man, we got to start saving, we got to start saving, we got to start saving, and then it's like, and we knew it was coming, but until they actually announced the price and the date, I was like, oh shit, I got to start saving, and I have all of 2 weeks to do so, because unlike Amazon pre-orders, man, like Sony's just gonna take your fucking money. That's just here,
Yep.
it's ours now. Like Amazon waits till
Jim
they
Ryan,
ship.
and he's just rubbing his hands together. Jim Ryan, he's like, "Yeah, I've got you all by the balls."
It's amazing. All right, man. We got a lot to talk about today, and most of it
Oh
has.
yeah,
It's not even us talking. It's we're just gonna read. We're just gonna read what other people are talking about, which is gonna be one of either the most interesting GamesCast ever or the least interesting GamesCast ever.
what a
But
complete disaster.
but regardless, thank you for being here. We love you all. Let's get this shit show on the road. This is PSVR Gamescast Live. We film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and Two Wise Friday right here on PSVR without parole, coming to you live for your oral pleasure. My name is Brian Paul from this channel right here, and beside me, all the way from the other side of the world, kind of a third of the way across the world. I don't really know distance.
And we're a bit closer. We're a bit closer tonight, Brian, because we're only 4 hours apart.
I can feel it.
Amazing.
I can feel it right here,
I know.
Miles. I feel so close to you
definitely
right now.
feel it. I'm not so tired because here it's 10 in the evening. So yeah, great. It's good.
Wow. Past 10 in the evening. Okay, yeah. Yeah, this is I guess we're going to be closer time-wise for what, a couple weeks or a week or something like that.
No, it's just this one because on Sunday it goes back to how it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even pay
We've got to
attention
enjoy
anymore.
the moment, Brian.
All right, well,
I'm
yeah.
just going to enjoy.
Don't let it
enjoy
pass by. Miles, listen. Before we really get this show on the road here, obviously a little bit of housekeeping, guys out there. If you don't already, if you're not already a member of our Discord, make sure that you click the link in the description below. Join our Discord. Be part of the best community on the face of the planet. It's weird. Somebody said something about like self promotion or something like that, and I was like, dude, I pay to keep Discord running. Like self promotion, it has nothing to do with it. Like I'm just like I want people to use the community that we've created, this platform that we're using. So Discord has nothing to do with self-promotion. Like I could save some money if I didn't keep that thing running and save a whole lot of time actually too. But we love seeing you guys there, and hey Tornado, and we love having you there. So please come join the community where these conversations happen 24/7. Oh look, I'm Wes Dillon from Virtual Strangers. This is weird, man. I didn't realize I'm Wes. Hold on a second. Am I Wes over here? No, that's you. That's me. Oh,
Wait.
and it is me over here.
You're not Wes.
Dude.
What?
Some days I don't know
Oh.
who I am. Let me fix that real quick. Miles, what's going on over in your neck of the woods on your channel? Do a little self-promotion while I fix my name tag.
So on Wednesday, I actually had my first guest feature in a long time, and I had Jimmy Bowers on from End Dreams. We had a great conversation about what it's like to work in the gaming industry. And as we all know, Jimmy is just an absolute boy. He is always helpful. He actually gave some really good tips because Karina in the chat was asking, what are your top 3 tips? And he felt quite put on the spot about it, and he gave some great answers. But then he went away. He did a great Twitter thread, so check him out. I've retweeted it on my thread, and also he wrote it in the comments of that video as well. And we were joking around with trying to get an exclusive out of him because obviously they'd just done the stuff with Kind of Funny Games and Ghostbusters. But the one thing he did say on the show, which has probably been confirmed in other places since, was there's been a lot of talk about End Dreams working on a PSVR 2 title and people suspecting that is Ghostbusters. And he just confirmed outright it's not Ghostbusters. So it's Ghostbusters is coming to PSVR 2, but so is this other game that they're working on. So look, the more PSVR 2 titles that have been worked on, the better. So that's really, really exciting. And it was good. It was just good to chat with him, and it makes me want to do more episodes where there's conversations. It's like why I love doing this on Fridays, like bouncing backwards and forwards just makes it a lot more fluid. And I know you think about this, Brian, when you have to do shows on your own, you're like, I can do it, but talking with the chat, it's a bit more difficult because you're constantly having to front the energy, because the chat is there and you're on the entire screen.
Yeah, doing a show on my own is a completely different beast. It always becomes a much more personal thing, right? It becomes like an AMA. It becomes like a hey, I'm just gonna like tell stories and stuff, like and then read comments and things. Like, it's very hard for me to sit here and talk about. I can't do what AJ does, right? And who does the interactive chat. He's able to just sit there in front of the camera, read the news, talk about the news and what the whole thing. And I'm like, well, without another person here with me, I'm just like that. That to me doesn't work terribly well for me. Somehow he manages to make it work, and I actually find him far more entertaining on his on interactive chats than I do on GAMESCAST. Mostly because he listens to me when I type something in interactive chat, so it's a completely different scenario. Totally understandable.
Yeah.
Also, just to kind of piggyback on something you said about End Dreams and Ghostbusters and PSVR 2 and all that. Keep an eye out. We just saw Coatsink announce Jurassic Park or Jurassic World Domination or whatever the hell their cel-shaded Jurassic Park game is for PSVR 2. But to my knowledge, that is also not their PSVR 2 title that they've been talking about. So I do think that there's a lot more in the works for PSVR 2 than people are aware of. Right now, it's easy money for these developers to bring over their Quest games, their PC VR games, and I think that's actually a pretty smart move for the launch period. If you put your big game into the launch period, and it just gets lost, right? It's like you're going to compete with Horizon Call of the Mountain, you're going to compete with Resident Evil Village. No, you're not. Put Jurassic World Domination out there, right? So people are like, oh, I've always wanted to play that, and if nobody buys it, they didn't lose a whole lot of money. Wait for your turn in the spotlight, and then you get to sell your big game then. So pay close attention, everybody. I feel like not everyone understands what's going on with PSVR 2 right now. There's a lot more going on than people are aware of. So keep a close eye on the channel, keep a close eye on what developers are saying and what they're not saying, because sometimes reading between the lines gives you a lot more information than reading what they're actually saying.
Yeah, and actually, when I just started the conversation with Jimmy, I was just having general chat, not really thinking about where I was going, just as you do when you have an introduction. It's like, we'll just have some small talk. And then I sort of went into a question that I thought, have I put him in a really awkward position? Because I was saying, well, PSVR 2 has been announced today. What does that mean for you? Does that mean the chains are unleashed and you can finally say a lot more? And he went, everything I've been able to say up to now is still the same. And I was like, sorry, man, I'm really sorry. First question. But no, it was actually his day off. So as a community manager, it was his day off. And he was like, out of all the days to take off, and then the biggest news. So yeah, it was interesting him talking about being a community manager, where, because one of the other questions I had on the show was about what are the thoughts about working in a job that relates closely to a hobby? Because I have a couple of friends that, and actually this would relate to you, Brian, as well with what you do, who are gamers. They present on gaming YouTube channels, but they have to review the latest games. And what it means is they have to blast through them super quickly. I mean, I guess for you, the plus side is a lot of VR games tend to be shorter.
Up until this point,
I knew someone, up to this point. Whereas some people that are like, whether it's The Last of Us or God of War, they want to sort of live and breathe the world, but they're like, no, we've got 2 days to get through this. Or on the flip side, they play it, a significant amount, and then they have to move on to other games, and then they get the ending spoilt for them because they're having to make content about the full thing. And so that part of it would be like, yeah, maybe I wouldn't want to get a gaming job because that would taint my experience of chilling, gaming. But on the flip side, doing something that you love is good, especially in a community manager role, because if you're a community manager, it isn't something you just turn on and off. Like when you're away from work, you still need to be with the community, because otherwise people then sense you're a fake of, oh, you're just reaching out to me because it's your job between these hours of the day. Whereas Jimmy, night and day, he's on Twitter. He loves games. He loves what they do, and you really sense it. And I think that's what makes someone a successful community manager. So yeah, those were some really interesting insights on it.
I'm trying to move the conversation on just along just a little bit here. Definitely, but please, everybody, go subscribe to Miles over at youtube.com/Miles. Again, one of the best URLs on the face of the planet. So easy to remember. You don't even have to like bookmark that shit. Like you can type it
and subscribe.
You should also do that. But so go check out his. I'm apologize, man, because I haven't had a chance to check this out. And I love Jimmy. I love you, two of my favorite people on the face of the planet, doing something together. This is something I should be, running over there and checking out. I just haven't had time yet. Well,
it's not as if you've had busy news or anything about PlayStation VR, Brian.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I hope it makes you feel better that I'm apologizing to you for not watching it, because I don't even apologize to AJ anymore for not watching his channel.
That did come as a surprise, so I am going to clip this and savor it.
Yeah.
And I'll watch it whenever I think you should be apologizing for other stuff. I'll be like, yeah.
And so as we move the conversation forward, Miles, what are we watching in the corner here since we started the video today?
I don't know. What have you been playing in the corner?
Well, let me help you out. We're watching your very last show as Schemata Theory that happened last Friday, which is why you weren't here for the show. Dude, how did it go? This video looks amazing. The quality of the video looks great. It looks like you guys are all having a good time up there. How was the show itself?
It was great, man, and yeah, the footage was taken by my friend Suze, who was the video footage people get on their phone. It was better quality than what I did on this camera, which is actually what I use here at the back of the room, because I know I mentioned I was going to try and live stream it after you suggested it, but the Wi-Fi wasn't great. I did record it and live stream it on my channel the next day, so you can go check it out. But the sound quality isn't great, but you get a sense of it. But yeah, it was amazing. People from all walks of life turned up. The bassist of my university band showed up, who I hadn't seen in like 13, 14 years. He was in the first band I ever did vocals for. So that just gives you a sense of like what the feeling of the room was. It was just like people celebrating, a band that had been 10 years, but it was definitely been a big part of my life. And to be honest, it hasn't fully sunk in emotionally yet that it's the end, because we'd normally do a show and then not for another couple of months. But I'm sure in a couple of months, when I've got that eagerness to do it again, I'm like, actually, there's no rehearsals or anything. It will sink in. So yeah, I am sad, and I don't know if anxious is the word. I want to make sure, as we've spoken about before, like the musical journey continues in some way or another. But we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, if you've never heard our stuff before, it's still going to remain on Spotify and that. Do check it out, people. And yeah, no, it was a good time.
I know I've said this before, but I'm sure, but it bears repeating. Completely different person over there on stage as we have here. You look like you're settling in for a nice nap. Like you've got a granny thing going on right now. If you had like a like some kind of like knitted blanket over you right now, you just look like you're so cozy, right? But then you get this like completely different energy on stage, and there is like if you were like, if I didn't know you, I'd be like, oh, that's Miles. I had no idea whatsoever. Great stage presence, man, and like just. It's very cool to be able to see the different parts of people's lives and realize that they're not. So to be like, oh, you're just talking heads over there. Who trusts talking heads on YouTube? Talking about games. If you're not aware that people, sirens on my end, have full lives and have a lot more going on than just what you see during their hour live streams, right? It's like we're all much more than. As far as people go, we're all much more than I think the casual viewer would give us credit for. Like there's a lot of different sides of each person, and being able to see this, and I really wish I could have been there at the show. It's just awesome, man, and I'm really happy that you shared this with us.
No, I appreciate that, man, and I've always appreciated the GameCast love for it in the chat over the year that I've been doing this and talking about it. So thank you. It might mean now I can actually just get the permission from the band to say, look, can we just give this to any VR developers to use in their games? Because it's like, yeah, because we actually do have the instrumental versions of all the songs as well. So who knows?
Hey, Miles.
Hey, Brian.
Did you know that this week we got a launch date, launch price
For what?
and pre-order details for PlayStation VR2? More sirens on my end. Dude, what an amazing week we just had. Despite what people might think of the news itself, the actual news, actually having that news at our fingertips, having that information finally getting
Tangible.
out there. Yep. And it just keeps feeling more and more real. What's happening over there in the UK, man? I know that obviously the $550 price tag over here seems a little exorbitant, especially on surface level, if you're not investigating what's happening under the hood, if you don't know how much eye tracking costs, all that stuff. But in terms of like UK prices, in terms of pounds, I'm assuming it's generally the same vibe over there, that you're like, oh, this is going to be fucking expensive, huh?
Yeah, look, so whenever we were talking about the price in the lead up to this, everyone was saying like, oh, it could be $400, $450. And I always said the way I'm working out what the baseline is what the UK equivalent would be. So when people were going $400, I was like, that'd be £350. There's no way it's going to be that low. So I thought it was going to be $399. I didn't really think that, but like I thought it could be between £400 and £450, $500. I thought it was going to be under the $500 mark. And so I have a save in my savings account. I have a PSVR 2 pot that is locked for February or next year, and it was for £500. I'd saved the amount, and the fact that when this got announced, I was like, oh, and that's not even enough. And on the one hand, it's like, okay, I need another £30, but that's without any games. That's just for the gear itself. So my initial thought with the pricing was, ouch, but I also feel this is a strategic move of Sony that I've kept mentioning in previous shows, that inflation is skyrocketing on both sides of the Atlantic. That a part of the issue they've got with announcing it is, if it's coming out in February, who knows where the landscape's going to be in 4 months' time, and a lot can change. And when it's on the margins of something you're producing millions of, that can really cause damage to you as a company, with share prices and things like that. So I feel two things have happened here. One is that PlayStation have been like, right, we just need to cover ourselves, price it high, because the first people to order this are going to be the PSVR fans that want it. And then very quickly after launch, I think you'll see a price drop once they've done the initial sales. Now, that's going to be very annoying for us, but then I think the premium we're paying is to get it first. And that's just what happens with all technology. But the other thing that I think happened was, even though they're not a direct competitor, Meta waiting for their new headset. And I think the moment it came out as it's not a gaming headset primarily, and it's $1,500, that gave basically PlayStation a blank check to say, we don't have to be competitive with anything. Because if it came out and let's say it was, $500 or something like that, then I think PlayStation would have had to have taken more of a hit. So I definitely think that happened as well. So look, it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow. I'm going to be buying the full set and the charging station for sure. The stuff we get with it is going to be so top tier. And I think the fact that PlayStation have gone all in, they've kind of future-proofed it. The fact it's got such high resolution, eye retina tracking, foveated rendering, haptics in the headset. Yes, it's going to be really expensive at the get-go, but then when the price drops, it just means that anyone that jumps on a year from now is still going to be getting something that is going to be top tier in the industry, and is going to be something that is going to last many, many years. And I think that is a good thing. So it's bittersweet, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, the PlayStation VR 1 was pretty much outdated from the second it dropped, right? We were using generation-old technology, light tracking. There's all sorts of reasons why PSVR 1, and that was in order to keep the price low as possible. Wow, I think Worcester waited more sirens. Worcester waited for us to start the show before they were like, in all forces out to the street. Like, let's, wow, dude. No sirens all day. And then sirens aplenty. Yeah, I think, yeah, so I don't know, fucking know. Fuck you, Worcester. I have no idea what I was saying now. We've got so many, and to the benefit of you guys, you won't have to listen to me ramble, because now we can get to some of the comments we just got, a lot of the tips. Let's get these out of the way before we start reading some of the other comments. Professor Lilith with the $5 tip says, making its debut on Sunday Multiplayer at 2 p.m. Eastern after the fall. Currently 45% off the North American store. So if you guys don't know, join our Discord. If you've got multiplayer games hanging out in your backlog or games that you've been wanting to check out and you don't own and they're on sale and you want to pick them up but you're concerned about the player base, well, that's what the Sunday multiplayers are all about, and that's what Professor Lilith is killing it doing week in, week out. So this Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, you're going to play After the Fall. Don't forget, you guys. After the Fall just got confirmed to be on PSVR 2 with, love it, Miles, love it, a free PSVR 2 upgrade for owners of the PSVR 1 version. Love that these developers are starting to kind of come out of the closet a little bit and be like, our game's going to be on PSVR 2 and you already own it. I was like, sweet. That's really good to hear, because they certainly could have charged. It's not no work to get these games out on PSVR 2, right? But they are. But
how many?
They are rewarding their loyal fan base, and that is awesome to hear.
It's amazing, and it was good to see on Twitter add it to the list when they came out with that, because yeah, they should be, like, even though a lot of us might think, well, of course they are, we should still congratulate them and encourage and reward for that. So
Miles, you say of course they are, but a little birdie. I woke up to an email today. I woke up very late today. I woke up to an email today saying, between you and me, so shh, don't anyone. I apparently, without Parole, shamed a particular developer into making their upgrade free, because I keep getting out there and like basically saying, fuck you if you're trying to charge for the upgrade or whatever, and then I just keep congratulating the people who are doing the upgrade for free. Yeah. For a game that has not announced their upgrade plans yet, they behind the scenes secretly got shamed into doing it for free. So you're welcome, everybody.
Sharknado VR. So thank you, Brian. Right. Thank you, Brian.
God, I don't have to pay for that again.
Feel that. Can't wait to feel the shark hitting you in the head with those haptics. It'd be great. So how many free upgrade games are we aware of at the moment? Is it in the ballpark of about 10, do we think?
It's not even there yet, because so few developers have actually come out and said publicly, our game is going to be on PSVR 2. I know about so many, but for whatever reason, these developers aren't ready to talk yet. So it's nice to see. I think there's like 6 or 7 right now, like confirmed. Maybe,
to be honest, they're better off promoting it nearer the time. Yeah. Like, when they get the hype, because at the moment, if they do it, it might stop people from buying it. Yeah. Like, so like, I'll remember to buy it nearer the time, and they might forget about it because there's going to be a lot of other games. So yeah, that's really, really exciting. And the other thing I was just going to say about some people in the chat have been mentioning about like the registration. Mm-hmm. I still haven't received my email, and I did it twice. I've still not received an email about confirming it, which makes me a bit nervous, but I'm sure it will come. Yeah, it better come.
Well, it is interesting. They're saying that registering is not a guarantee. This is news that came out since Wednesday's GAMESCAST. That registering is not a guarantee that you're going to get a pre-order. But what does happen, and this is another clarification we want to make. If you do get the invite, then you are guaranteed, right? Oh, right. They're like basically don't they that's why everyone who's registering is not getting an invite, right? If you go to the registration period, if you go to the pre-order event during those 3 days, it sounds like you are guaranteed to get one. But that's why not everyone who's registering is getting an email yet, just to make sure that anyone who does get the invitation is guaranteed one. So it's a little stressful, I know, for people who haven't gotten it yet. I did get mine. I don't know if I said that on Wednesday's show or not. People keep asking me if I got mine. I did get mine. I didn't do anything to get mine. I woke up because I had clicked the registration button to be alerted for updates for PSVR 2 months ago, and I had not done anything since. And so when I woke up and I saw that I had mine, I was like, oh, cool. I guess everybody did. I was very wrong about that. So yeah.
It reminds me of how I felt with the PS5, and to be honest, the PlayStation 5 was the first console I ever ordered or pre-ordered before release, which feels a bit weird saying that. I don't remember what it was for the first PSVR. Was there was it just all available? Like they weren't selling out quickly, or
they just put it available on Amazon. It did not sell out. I mean, I don't know if it was available. I don't even know if Sony had a direct sales site at that point. But it seemed like they went up for sale like a few months ahead of time. I had pre-ordered mine when pre-orders went live. I don't remember it ever selling out or being unavailable. So much different situation, obviously a much different world we were living in then. VR was not considered something that anybody really cared about or be excited about. It was very much a big risk for all of us who pre-ordered it back in the day. Miles, we got so many more tips, so let's get through these. We have Darth Vader, the Game Cat, with the $10 tip, says, people who are complaining about PSVR 2 are only looking at the negatives, saying it's too expensive or that the games are lacking. Come on, people, look at the specs. It'll be amazing. I'm going to go a step further than that, Vader, and say, look at the people who've actually already played it. Right, the people who've already played it are all the convincing I need. Saying it's the best VR headset they've played, and Village, it looks better than the PlayStation 5 flat screen version. That's all the convincing I need. Yes, it's expensive. Yes, it's a premium product, but if you want something premium, you got to pay the premium. I'm not saying fuck you if you think it's too expensive. I'm saying it is expensive, but there's a reason for it.
And that was what was said with the PlayStation 5 release, and what we were saying when the PS5 came out is we have to understand that gaming is a luxury product. Like it's a luxury to engage in that kind of entertainment, to have in your own home a computer device that simulates these amazing worlds of which you can play some free-to-play games and stuff like that. So if that is a luxury product, well, VR definitely is, because VR is just so much further of being a niche product as well. So
yeah, absolutely. We've also got, let's get this, Emily Baxter, hashtag the cartoony witch game kitten, with a $2 tip, says, where's my props for calling this on Monday? A lot of people out there were like told you. I was like, okay. I'm like, I don't have any record of that, but good. I mean, it's good. It's good to know that there's people out there who are not disappointed by this because they called it months ago. Or days ago with Emily Baxter. She also gives another $2 tip, says, I'm actually an insider. Just kidding. You had me for 5 words, and then you lost me during the last 2. Super cool video, bro, with the $2 tip, says, why can't people understand that Quest is a handheld and PSVR 2 is a console? I mean, I think people do understand that, but they don't understand what else is at play here. I mean, also, when you consider Quest Pro, it really does. When you look at Quest Pro being $1,500, doesn't even come with like the rubber light blocker, right? It's like, man, $550. It seems like such a good deal suddenly, but only in comparison. Not on its own. Just when you compare it to the only real competitor right now.
I also just think about, Brian, if I was someone who had only just or hadn't yet got a PS5 but wanted one, and was also a PSVR 1 gamer. The idea of still, to buy a PS5 and a PSVR 2, I don't know how I would stomach that as a general consumer.
It's a huge amount.
It's only because it's been 2 years. Now you might argue, well, they might have had the money saved for 2 years. We know how savings work; things move around and that. But yeah, for someone that's just jumping into the market to get both these things together, man, that's a huge commitment. Because it's over $1,000. Like, yeah.
BMX 7596 says, Quest Pro isn't even a gaming device. Well, tell that to the rest of the world, man. It's like, no matter how much Meta tells you it's not a gaming device, gamers out there are like, I can't wait to play games on my Quest Pro. That's going to be my default headset. That's going to be, and then you got synth writers out there being like, we're going to deliver a Quest Pro upgrade. We're like, but it's not a gaming device. Why then are gamers buying it? Why then are game companies updating their games for it? If it's not a gaming device, then you have failed in your marketing campaign, Meta. Go fuck yourself. Sorry, the coffee just kicked in and I just wanted to yell about something and I had nothing to yell about, so that's what you guys got. Good morning. I hope you're all doing well. The coffee's great.
We need to get you a coffee sponsor, man.
Yeah,
because that'd be the best advert. The coffee's kicking in. Fuck you all.
Right, go fuck yourself. Coffee makes me angry. Maybe I should cut back. Yeah, but Bob Bobber in the chat says BMX is right. You are right. It's not a gaming device, but that doesn't keep people from taking their head out of Meta's ass. Apparently, people there's so many people who just refuse to say, hey, you know what? The PSVR 2, along with the PlayStation 5, you get, not only do you get like an amazing, awesome console with exclusive flat screen games, but you also get one of the best VR headsets we've ever seen for 2/3 the price of the Quest Pro. When people aren't able to see that, because they just like, well, Quest, right? Like that's straight up fanboyism, right? And so, what are you gonna do? What are you going to do, man? I'm not going to argue with those people. Tiffany in the chat says, why is Brian yelling at us? I'm just putting on a show, man. I'm just putting on a show. I promise I'll chill out. We got more tips. We got Brett Rapp with the $5 tip. Also, great name, Brett Rapp. I feel like that should be your stage name. You should rap. $5 tip says, do you think that the 10 games we can wishlist are the only games that they have announced so far out of the 20 launch titles? No, I don't, because you can go on the PlayStation Store right now, Miles. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. You can go on the PlayStation Store right now. There is a PSVR 2 section. There are 10 games roughly that are listed there. Some of them have release dates. Some of them just say coming soon. Horizon Call of the Mountain isn't even on that list. Resident Evil Village is not on that list. Just saying.
Is like No Man's Sky, like is No Man's Sky on there? Obviously
I don't think No Man's Sky is on that list. I don't think Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 is on that list, right?
Okay.
So I don't, but we also, there's definitely some question marks here. Like No Man's Sky feels like it should be one of those games that's just ready to be patched at launch, but I don't know if they've actually said that. I don't know. And so the messaging is a little bit all over the place. I'm pretty sure they've confirmed Village and Horizon as launch games, and those games are not there.
Yeah, the other thing I'd want to say about the messaging of all this is I think Sony know that the price is not a good story. I mean, just look at how they promoted it. Yeah. Like the pricing was buried. Like, check out for more information. I think this was a difficult decision that they knew had to be made. And the idea of doing a showcase, they don't want a repeat of, was it the PlayStation 3 where it was the price, or but there have been times where announcements have been made on consoles where they've not looked good for it, and so a part of me wonders the showcase could still come. It could be early next year, could even be after launch. But even like the games announced, I think there's still a lot yet to be done. But they were like, if we're going to be charging this amount of money, we need to give people enough warning. It's like, how do you make the best of bad news? And right. I think that's a part of it as well. There's a reason they've kept it to blog posts. I 100% agree. I actually think that that as excited as we were on Wednesday for new news, it was really the PSVR faithful that were excited about what happened that day. Because when you were asking me what is the like temperature here in the UK, I was already thinking about, people aren't really talking about it. Like a couple of my friends, because I mentioned it to them, they're like, oh, okay. And they registered to it because I told them, like, it really seems to be a word of mouth thing. Most people don't follow the blog.
Yeah. Yeah. And
is it even a card on the PS5 yet? I don't think it is. When it does the news, when you log on the PS5?
PlayStation VR2 was plastered across the front of my PS5 yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it wasn't the first one that popped up, but it was the second one in that line.
Right.
So it was pretty cool to see that, and for Sony to being like, hey, actually pushing it a little bit. But yeah, I do 100% believe that the reason this was a blog post, the reason it was, we got so much kind of like meh news out of the way on Wednesday. We got the price tag, which not a lot of people were expecting. People were hoping for close to $400. So you're right. Sony knew that was going to be not something they wanted to. The last thing you want to do is get on stage and reveal all these AAA games and be like, look at this, and then this game, and then that game, and look what we have planned for 2023, and look how amazing this is, and foveal rendering, and eye tracking, blah, 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 the whole thing, and then end it by going, that's $550, right? That just puts like this real stench on the end of what could have been an amazing presentation. So they're kind of getting all of that out of the way now, along with, look at Cosmonia's High. Right. Look at all these other Tentacular. Look at these other Quest games that are coming, which is great news. right? Because we want all of those games over here. We just don't want that to be the only games we're getting. That was the problem with PSVR 1. We were only getting these independent games, and then it's like a year between each AAA game. I'm like, come on, guys, like we need more than this, right? And so I see that's why people are kind of upset about seeing all these Quest games, is because it kind of reeks of PSVR 1 days. So I get that, but that's why this was all done in a blog post. Here's some PSVR 1 games that are coming to PSVR 2. Here's some Quest games that are coming to PSVR 2, and here's the price tag that you're not going to be super thrilled about. But also, let's sugarcoat this: Rush of Blood 2. It's like, yes, right, we're giving you something you're actually going to be excited about just to make today really special. Like, okay, cool. Along with the first-person shooter game, that Crossfire game looks pretty slick. Garrett Erdem in the chat agrees. So, so I feel like that was the mentality Wednesday. It's like, let's kind of get this all out of the way, the bad stuff, quietly, and give you some really cool stuff. And I say bad stuff, meaning like just the less attractive stuff, the stuff that's not going to really be selling, the hardcore gamers out there. Dude, I can't believe we keep doing this. When I say we, I mean me. I keep going on these long tangents, and I'm not reading tips. Mark Pringlesleaf for the £2 says, has there been any talk of a free game with PSVR 2?
No. This is the thing, is I think an Astrobot game could still be announced. Like, there's still months to go. Like, they wouldn't. The thing I say every step of the way when we see all these showcases, and why didn't they show more? Are they really going to show everything now and just have 3 months of and we're still waiting for it? Right. Like, they got Christmas, they've still got God of War coming out on Wednesday. And I think that's another part of this. I think they knew God of War was going to be really good news for PlayStation, and the reviews today have been phenomenal. And so they're going to have that. So yeah, there could be an Astrobot game. The sort of trifecta of Destiny 2, Grand Theft Auto VR, or Fortnite VR, and I am willing to go beyond that, but like one of these massive hybrid titles, I think is still there, but they want to do it nearer the time when there are going to be people after Christmas because if now they did it, people would be like, I still haven't got a PS5. Now, if they get a PS5 at Christmas and then 2 months later, there's all these other big games, they might be more willing psychologically to go, actually, yeah, I will now splash out on a VR as well. Like, all this research is thought about in customer experience, and you've got Christmas between now and the PSVR 2 launch, and so they are going to be thinking strategically on future announcements. So I think Astrobot is still potential.
Yeah, Astro's Playroom 2, Astro's Playroom VR, whatever you want to call it, I think would be fantastic. Astro has sort of been there to bring us new technology ever since like PSVR 1. He was even in that Playroom compilation. And all
the mini games they could do with eye tracking, man. I'm sure they'd think of some really quirky, fun games for that.
Yeah. I think that would be absolutely perfect. But yeah, like you said, there's just so much time. I don't. 4 months is a lot of time to fill to keep people excited. And this is, again, I can't. Looking back now, you're like, wow, how did they even start with all this stuff back on June 2nd, June 3rd, whatever it was, the State of Play, where they did the Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil Village, more Horizon Call of the Mountain, that looked stunning. Saints and Sinners Chapter 2, No Man's Sky. I'm like, they started this in June, right? I was like, it's from now that we're in November, you're like, wow, they actually started way earlier than I expected them to. Not that I expected them to, retrospectively saying that doesn't make any sense, because for the last year we've been like, where is it? Where is it? Give us more. But now that we're getting closer, like, wow, starting that long ago is actually kind of crazy. How do you keep up that hype level for the next 8 months? It's nuts. So we've got a lot more on the way for sure. Josh Cat with the $5 tip says, saying the price is too high before PSVR 2 releases is silly to me. But does all the people talking about the price, is it good for Sony or not? I don't think it's going to deter too many people. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I just don't think the people who have been waiting for this for years, it's just like, okay, we thought it was going to be $400 and it's $550. $150 more is a lot of extra money, but we've been waiting for this for so long. How do we just say, nope, sorry, it's not going to happen? And I know that some people out there had to say, nope, sorry, not going to happen. But I think for a good majority of people, it's not going to deter them. This is still something we've wanted for so long. We just assumed what the price was going to be, with zero knowledge on how much eye tracking costs. I don't know if you saw this, man. It was shown to me yesterday. If you search Tobii eye tracker on Amazon, a device for flat screen gaming, right? That literally all it does is just sits on your TV and like tracks your eyes. It's all it is. It's just an eye tracker. $250.
Right, yeah.
Right? It's all it is. It's made by Tobii, the same company that is, licensing this technology to Sony. So, yes, it doesn't cost $250 to make a $250 device, but it gives you a little insight, right? That we're going to have these really expensive Sense controllers packed in the box, which I'm still saying they should just sell for $200 on their own to make the $550 price tag look way more attractive. Be like, oh, the headset's only $350, and then you see the Tobii eye tracker that costs $250, and you're like, the headset costs like $100. It's so cheap.
I think you're right though, man. It's not going to deter people, but it will prevent. It's the question, wasn't it? Of is this the headset that's going to make it more mainstream and bring more people in? I think it still can, but not yet. Maybe in a year when it drops in price. But then that's what happened with the first PSVR. I remember loads of people who bought it, and I was like, I'm not really ready to jump in yet. And I got it like 2-3 years down the line, and now I'm a PSVR addict, and that will happen with this generation as well, except the people that jump in are going to have an even more incredible time. So, yeah, it's exciting.
Serial Killer, the stash in a flash game cat with the $2 tip says, Brian, you missed the obvious. Astros Play Vroom. Vroom, VR Room. Astros Play Vroom. If it's a race, if it's a car, if it's a kart racer, then absolutely. Right? Astros Play Vroom should be a kart racer. Belramio, the game cat with the €6 says, I would think more big announcements would have sugarcoated the price better than just adding it to a bunch of more indie announcements. Yes, also true. Except why not save those big games, those things that are absolutely going to sell the headset, for when you get on a stage and you're in front of as many people as possible and you're giving it your big final push, right? It just like, what if we had gotten, I don't know. I think Sony knows full well that like people are very reactionary. We saw it in our own community that the second the $550 price tag went up, people were fucking angry and mad and yelling, jumping up and down, lighting things on fire, flipping cars over. It's like a soccer riot over here, Miles. It was nuts. You couldn't control them. And so, but then like a couple days goes by and you're like, all right. We were only upset because we were assuming it was going to be so cheap. It was kind of on us. Right, because we don't know how much eye tracking costs. We don't know what it really costs, and I really do think, Miles, that Sony's trying to make this as cheap as possible. It drives me. It kind of irks me a little bit for people to say, "Oh, this is straight up greed." I was like, dude,
yeah.
Sony didn't even need to make a headset, man. Like the smartest business thing for them to do would be get out of VR for the next 5 or 6 years until it's more mainstream, and then come back with, on the PlayStation 6. With a new VR headset, right? Why are they're taking all of these risks? PlayStation VR 1 didn't sell all that well, right? They're doing this because they believe in VR, right? And so it's for them people to say, oh, that is $550 straight up fucking greed. I'm like, dude, like if they were only making smart business decisions over there, we wouldn't have gotten a VR headset at all. At all. Focus on flat screen games. Focus on your AAA, first party titles. Things will sell tens of millions of copies, and just generate income. PSVR 2 isn't a guarantee, and they're taking a huge risk in giving us what we want. It's just what we want is expensive.
And it's not just about being cheap for the moment. It's again this like in 4 months. I mean, inflation in the UK at the moment is 11%. In the US, I just looked up now, is 8.5%. So it's like that's a 2% difference in 4 months. If it stays that way, but we don't know. Like there's so much instability, and again, when you're producing millions, hundreds of thousands, millions of units of an item, the pennies, the cents, just knocking $1 off. If you're making $1 million, is a massive margin. And like I know that might sound like an obvious point, but it's something I have to keep telling myself when I'm thinking about this. But again. I don't think it's going to deter the people that are VR fans. I think the other thing that I mentioned straight off the bat when I read the blog post was, wow, it costs more than the thing you plug it into. And I do think the optics of the fact that the VR headset is more expensive than the console. Although you could justify it when you talk about the parts, and a console is a computer that they mass produce. A VR headset is lenses, eye tracking to simulate being physically in a game. Like, there's a lot more research and more durability, because you're actually wearing it on your head, and you're doing all these motions and things like that. There's a lot more wear and tear. So yeah, I think that is justified. But on face value, the idea that it costs more than the console isn't a good look for people that, when we talk about initial impressions, because initial impressions are important.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you rationalize it and go, oh no, it does make sense. Gut reaction for consumers is a very important part, and I think that is what will deter a lot of new adopters early on. But then, as I say, as the price drops a year in, once there's a lot of social proofing with people broadcasting and all these new games come out, Sony knows it's not just about selling right from the get-go. At the get-go, the people they want owning these are the ones that are going to shout about it. And yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah. I got two comments I want to read real quick, and then we really got to get to the actual show.
Blog.
Yeah. In the chat, Owando Kirinato with the €10 says, "Am I going crazy? PSVR 2 is cheaper than the PSVR 1 was at launch with the full kit. Do the math. Adjust for 2016 price for inflation. Again, the full kit, and it was considerably more expensive. Why is everyone so mad?" Agreed. That is totally true. We talked about that on Wednesday's show. If you do account for inflation, then yeah, the PSVR 2 is priced perfectly, right? The problem is, and this is interesting because I saw Danarama Pajama, the GameCat, in the comments, I think earlier today or last night, saying that's fine. Technically, that's correct. But most of the world, the reason inflation's a problem is because our paychecks are not keeping up with inflation, right? And so I think I finally understand the anger when it comes to inflation, because I'm making less than I've ever made, Miles, right? I'm certainly not getting more Patreon support or more ad revenue this year than I was last year or the year before. In fact, pretty steady decline, right?
Everyone's taking a pay cut. Like, so in the UK, I don't know what the term is in the US, but we call it in real terms. So then when the government goes, oh, we're giving healthcare workers a pay increase, it's not as much as inflation. So actually, You're taking a pay cut, and that's how governments are always a bit iffy when they, oh no, we're paying you more. No, but you're not. You're paying less, like in real terms, and so. Man, economics, it's fucking complicated.
It is complicated. It sucks, but I do want people to know that we do understand where you're coming from, where we work real jobs too. I mean, I don't know if you call what I do a real job, but you work a real job, and we're all kind of suffering the same deal here. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to inflation, when it comes to, if you look at the history of video games, yeah, this is actually technically right in line, even if your company is not paying you to keep up with the cost of inflation. That's really not on Sony. That's on your company to do the right thing. Corporate Zombie in the chat said, yeah, I thought it was expensive. I expected Sony to take a loss in the headset because of the higher attach rate of games. In the Sony store walled garden, like Meta did, and sold millions of units. We saw what happened with Meta.
They probably are taking a loss, though.
Yeah, we don't know. Miles, I'm going to guess they're not taking a loss because they never took a loss on PSVR 1. Right, I think it's too risky of a venture. I think VR is still too risky of a venture for them to go, oh, we'll just take a loss on all of these and then make money up on the back end. They just don't know how many it's going to sell. They just don't. And it would be nice if they took a loss, but like, how much of a loss are they really going to take? Are they really going to lose $50 on every headset to make it $499? Right, which is like, for them to lose $50 on every headset, that's tens of millions of dollars, if not more, in the long run, where it's just $50 to each consumer, right? It's kind of crazy to be like, oh yeah, the company should take this crazy loss. And also look what happened to Meta. Meta had to raise their price by $100 for the Quest 2 and accessories, and then PlayStation had to raise the cost of PlayStation 5. I think the last thing Sony wants to do this time around is have to raise the price at some point, right? Come out at $500 and then like 6 months down the line go, oh man, we screwed up. Inflation's getting worse. The parts are getting more expensive. $550, and I was like, are you kidding me? This was already expensive to begin with. It's almost like tear off the Band-Aid, give you a high price now, and then we all just fucking have to deal.
Well, let's do a pizza bet right now. Do we think this time next year Actually, I'm going to say even sooner. By the summer of 2023, PSVR 2 is going to be $499 or less dollars.
Oh,
or you
a
think
$50 price cut after a year?
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's why I'm saying maybe the summer, half a year.
Yeah. I mean, I think $50 for sure, and you know, for somebody like me who, you know, is living paycheck to paycheck, I'm still willing, and I know I'm in such a unique situation where I have to get one at launch, right? Like, this is the channel, but even if the channel didn't exist and I was still in the same financial situation, I would still be buying one at launch. I'd be like, oh, even if it's going to be $50 cheaper next year, I'd much rather have this thing for a year and pay the extra $50, right? I'm not willing to wait that long. Yeah.
The premium is to be the first there to experience it, and that's a part of. Oh, I love someone in the chat are going, it's not happening. It's not going to go under $499. But yeah, we'll see. I just don't think it's a whole lot of. It makes a huge difference, right? $550 is a lot of money. $500 is a lot of money. I think PSVR 2 is going to sell really well despite this price tag. And so my guess is that they're not going to have to drop the price. My guess is that, you know, for the first couple of years, it will stay exactly where it is. And maybe, you know, somewhere down the line, they'll like throw in a game, right? Throw in a charging dock, right? Maybe we'll get these bundles for the same $550 price tag where you get some extra stuff. But I don't think they're actually going to charge less for the headset itself. All right, man. It is time. No, it's not. Hold on, real quick, dude. I love you guys so much, but these tips keep rolling in. Thank you. Keep the tips coming.
Well, the tips keep rolling in, and that means that I'm going to be able to afford a PSVR 2 headset if the tips keep rolling in. Bel Ramio, the Game Cat with the €6 says, if your paycheck would keep up with inflation, it would unfortunately boost inflation further to a point of hyperinflation. Sad but true. I don't even want to talk about economics because there's a level of it that I don't understand, and the part that I do understand is just maddening to the point where I'm like, how is this sustainable? And the answer is it's not. We're going to find that out, I'm sure, soon enough. Okay, dude, so my initial plan for the show, Miles, was to go out to the internet at large, look through different articles, look through my Twitter posts, see the reactions to them, look at other people's Twitter posts, and then I realized very quickly that the best place... Are you fucking kidding me, Miles?
What?
Miles Dyer, the 10 quid, says, keep the tips going. Thank you so much, man. I love you. But I realized very quickly we only needed to go to one place because the PlayStation blog is where it's at. This is such an interesting cross-section of gamers. It's such an interesting number of differing opinions that that's all we have to do is just head on over to the PlayStation blog and look at this announcement article. And let me just interact with this real quick. Here it is. All right. So are you ready? Do you have this up on your computer as well?
Yeah. I've got it here.
All right. So let's hold on a second.
I assume the comments are going to be in the same order for us both.
I hope so. So you scroll down past through all of the pre-order information, the price, everything. There's a lot going on.
Newer comments. That's up. Yeah.
Okay. Here are the comments. All right.
So the newer one I've got is from Jacko the Lad. More than the price of PS5? Are you mad? And yeah, I mean, I think it's a fair thing to ask at gut value. It's like, yeah, that is pretty remarkable.
Again, I think it's very much that knee-jerk reaction. Be like, wow, it's really expensive, you know. But again, I really wonder what people will think when they start understanding like how much. We all thought eye tracking was like, oh, it's two tiny little cameras. That's all it is. Two tiny little cameras that look at your eyes, right? But it's obviously so much more than that, and it's obviously costs so much more than that. That eye tracking alone kind of skews this entire conversation. Be like, if people don't understand, you know, that eye tracking is expensive, then obviously we're going to see comments like this. And then go ahead.
I was going to say a lot of the responses are sort of agreeing with it, but there's a few that have gone, you clearly don't know how good this offer is. Meta's latest headset, Quest Pro, is weaker than the PSVR 2 in pretty much every metric, yet it costs $1,500. PSVR 2 is not only better, but nearly 3 times cheaper. In terms of resolution, how does it compare to the Quest Pro? Is it actually...
That's a great question, man. We talked about the Quest Pro when it was first announced, and as I said, I think during that show, that was the first and last I ever cared to talk about the Quest Pro because it's not a gaming headset. right? It's not a headset for gamers. And so for any VR YouTuber out there who cares about games, we should all go, okay, this isn't for us, and move on, right? But that's obviously not what's happening.
Well, I didn't know that the Meta Quest Pro only has a refresh rate of 90 hertz. It doesn't do the 120. It's an LCD, not an OLED. It's 1800 by 1920 per eye. It's 960, 1080 per eye. Oh no, sorry. So it's actually the resolutions. I'm comparing it to the PSVR. Yeah, so it's actually less resolution. So it's 1800 by 1920. PSVR 2 is 2000 by 2040. And it's not just OLED, it's OLED HDR. Field of view, the Meta Pro, 105 degrees. PSVR 2, 110. Yes, it's wireless, but single USB-C cable. Rumble motor, which they have none. The Quest Pro is 720 grams. It's less than 600 for the PSVR 2, so it's even lighter. So, you know, and I just want to be clear. I'm someone who, I know there are people that like to be very partisan with this. I genuinely want all headsets to do well, but it is interesting, actually. I'm surprised at how the PSVR 2 has the edge with a lot of those metrics.
Yeah.
And yet, and it shows you perspective is important. Like when you look at PSVR 2 on its own, yeah, that was a shock. But then when I've compared it to that, I'm like, actually, yeah, that's really good value for money.
Yeah. Duo Maxwell 007 says, this is more than the PlayStation 5, wasn't the PS5 $600? Is that right? I thought was it $400 and $500 for the physical and for the digital and the physical, I think. So it is technically more than the PlayStation 5, but this is a weird rule that I've never understood, Miles. When people say, we talked about it a little bit earlier, that there's like this sticker shock when something is more than the console itself, right? A peripheral can never cost more than the console itself. Why? Why is this some hard and fast rule? Like, right? I'm not. To me, this whole episode, Miles, feels like I'm just like making excuses for Sony, right? But it's going to be just as difficult for me to purchase one of these as it is for everybody else. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I've still got to ask, what the hell's happening? Like, can't a peripheral cost more than the console if what's happening in the peripheral is more cutting edge and like more niche, and so you can't manufacture as many like this? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Why can't? It's like people just made up this rule and then expected Sony to follow it. It's like, you can't just make up rules. You can't just say it can't be more than the console itself. It's kind of nonsense.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then some people in the chat are saying some fair things about the Meta Pro, which is it does have functionalities like face tracking and stuff, which isn't made for, like, they've made it clear it's not a gaming headset. I think even Mark Zuckerberg said on the presentation, which I respected him saying, because it's so easy for them to go, we just want to sell these. Like, they've been very upfront about it. So yeah, it does have some, but if you are a gamer, I think, yeah, that kind of shows you if Meta are producing them at that price. Yeah.
Goose Dude in the chat says Sony's milking the ponies for all they're worth. What a fucking moron. Go fuck yourself, Goose Dude.
Whoa,
dude! I told you, coffee. We're putting on a show. Everybody gets yelled at. If you call someone a pony, I automatically know where you stand on everything, right? It's like if you say woke, I know where you stand on everything, right? All the call signs are there, and so Goose Dude, if you want to make a point, like, make it without making a fool of yourself. We also got Andrew Squall on this. It says, this is Jim Ryan's PlayStation generation. Of course they're going to screw up. Yet another good thing. And when it fails horribly, not one of them will come back to this PlayStation actual user blog and read the comments. It's so funny, man, that like everybody who thinks it's too expensive automatically goes to, this is going to fail horribly.
Yeah.
Right? This isn't going to sell at all. It's like, well, no, because you're choosing not to buy it because it's too expensive for you, does not mean that the rest of the world is abandoning it. The rest of the world might realize, still want it. The rest of the world might say, this is something that we've been wanting for years, and Sony delivered above and beyond. Miles, I don't know if this was something I was saying when you joined the channel or prior what it was. But before PSVR 2 got revealed and before we saw the specs, it was something I always said, Sony, just get us caught up to PC VR, right? Just give us a nice display. We don't need anything like super crazy. We don't need any gimmicks. We don't need, right? Just get us caught up. Get some analog sticks in those controllers and give us inside-out tracking, right? But instead, they gave us all of the features of a DualSense. They gave us the adaptive triggers. They gave us the haptic feedback. They gave us whatever, right? And they not only did that, but they also gave us haptics in the headset. They gave us eye tracking. They're giving us, dude, they're really just kind of like going above and beyond with this thing and just making it so that we don't have to buy another headset for the next 6 years, right? Whereas if you're a Meta fan, you're buying one every 2 years, right? Because that's what you got to do, right? Resident Evil 4 didn't come to Quest 1. Lots of games aren't coming to Quest 1. And when Quest 3 comes out, the same thing's going to happen all over again. So you have to keep up. Sirens on my end. You have to keep up. You have to keep buying their technology. Sony's trying to give us something we buy once and we're good for a whole generation.
Can I just say, because I just have to say this because it comes in waves.
Yeah.
We're going to get to play this and experience it in February. I can't wait.
I know. I know.
So, but it's like it just hits me of like a minute I'm like imagining being downstairs and which is when you were talking about the DualSense tech and I'm just like, yeah, oh my god, this is gonna be so good. But
it's gonna fail horribly though. It's gonna fail horribly.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Didn't you know
and
that?
By the way, can I just say I know I make a lot of jokes about Jim Ryan, but
Yeah.
it is just my British humour. Like I do talk about him like, you know, going he behind the desk and like how am I going to screw this over? I actually think that he's fine and he's very good at what he does and like he's surrounded by a very great team of people. It's just that he is a face that I think he's very much like a very bland politician, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Kind of boring. Phil Spencer's obviously much more exciting and approachable. But yeah, I do make the jokes, but like Jim Ryan, I do have a lot of respect for. But it's not to say he hasn't made mistakes, though.
I don't.
That's fine.
I want to be very clear. I don't. I have no respect for Jim Ryan currently.
Whoa.
Right? I don't.
British
dude,
hater.
Herman Hulse, Jim Ryan. I feel like this generation of consoles hasn't even begun yet. Right,
that's true.
We've talked about this a lot, saying it doesn't feel like it. Like people still can't get one. The rest of the world is having a hard time finding PlayStation 5s.
They got so many IPs to announce,
right?
Yeah,
it's like we got a couple of cool games that trickled out. You know, like a Demon's Souls remake, Returnal.
Insomniac have carried them.
Yeah,
like.
Spider-Man games have been great.
Yeah.
And of course, now we're getting God of War. And so it's feeling like the generation is kind of finally starting, but which means that we don't really know what these guys are capable of, right? I don't want to be like, oh, I love you or I hate you without seeing what they're capable of first, right? How can we see what they're capable of before people are even able to buy the console, right? They have gone above and beyond trying to get this console out to gamers. You know, striking up all these different manufacturing deals, and they're starting to pay off. We're starting to see PlayStation 5s on store shelves here in the States. I don't know what's going on in the UK or the rest of the world. I know it's still a struggle, but we're going to get there.
Dude, again, you just mentioned God of War, and I just have imagine throwing the Leviathan axe in VR and catching it with the haptics. Oh, dude, that would be so sick.
Yeah.
I don't care if they just make a mini game where you just throw the axe and it keeps going back to you. It doesn't have to be a full-fledged game. Just let me experience that in VR. It could be a platinum game, like my name is Mayo. What's the Mayo game? My
name is Mayo.
So tapping the Mayo.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just keep throwing the Leviathan axe and you throw it 1,000 times and then you get a platinum. Yeah, I'm all for it.
Yep. I was looking for Goose Dude to respond, but apparently he's just a troll. He's just saying nonsense. So I was hoping we were going to have an actual discourse after I like called him out and made fun of him, but I guess not. He's just gonna keep making shit up. So we got a couple more tips here. We got Bell Remy the Game Cat with the 249. Just with a choo-choo tip train. Thank you so much, Bell. Sean Turner with the $10 tip says, I don't know why everyone's complaining about the price. 1, inflation's real. 2, supply chain issues for all electronics. And 3, most people I know paid more than retail for PlayStation 5. I had to pay $700. Yeah, I'm really glad that they're actually attempting to keep the scalpers out of it this time around. Belrami the Game Cat makes an excellent point with his 250 tip. Says, a decent sim wheel costs more too. I mean, you can spend hundreds of dollars on a racing wheel that you're only going to use for a couple of games. Like, I mean, when by the time PSVR 2 generations over, Miles, we're going to have hundreds of games. I mean, we got 600 for PSVR 1, and that wasn't what I'd call popular. You know, we're easily going to have 1,000 for PSVR 2, and more good titles, more quality titles, more single A, triple I games than we ever got on PSVR 1. And so when you put it in perspective, going to get a lot more use than a sim wheel or a flight stick, that's for sure. KillerCell777 with a $5 tip. Give us this cute cat emoji. What is? I can't see it. I don't know if my eyes are just fucking gone, man. Thank you very much, KillerCell. We love you.
Oh, that is cute.
All right, what does it say on the clipboard or the paper?
Number one.
Number one.
Number one. Number one.
Katie Foley with the 2 quid says, "I'm stoked. Releases on my birthday, and Katie got an invite." That's awesome. Right? Can you imagine? Be like, Sony, why are you ruining my birthday? Why don't you want to play with you? All right, man. Let's. Oh wait, hold on. I totally missed Hunter's tip. Hunter with the $10 tip says a solid launch lineup could push the price narrative to the background. Horizon RE8 look great, but I can't help but feel something's missing. Do you think Alex could get announced for launch? The rumors are all saying no for Alex being there at launch. More like a, if it's happening, more like a holiday 2023 release, which is, I think, just as important, right? When you talk about the games that are going to be there for launch or in the first few months, it's also important to say, listen, we've got PlayStation VR2 support coming over and over and over down the line. Like, this is not going to be another Vita situation, Gooseboy. This is going to be something where, like, that's why the hybrid game model is so important, right? Because they don't have to develop these AAA games from the ground up just for VR and then take a huge loss on them, right? We can get a God of War game in VR. We can get an Uncharted game in VR. We can get Last of Us in VR, right? I'm not saying we will, but I'm saying these are all possibilities. And the studio doesn't have to go bankrupt trying to deliver AAA games to us. They can just take their flat screen game and make it also playable in first-person VR. Shirzad Khan City with the $5 tip says PlayStation VR 3 will be what the headset fans have been wanting. Standalone is key. Till then, it's an enthusiast device. Hard disagree. I don't think we're getting a standalone PlayStation VR, maybe ever. I think a solid wireless headset where it still uses the console. As we see, the Quest is just forever. They're stuck in this standalone ecosystem. They can't get out of it now, right? And so they're forever going to be about 2 or 3 generations behind, which is just, I mean, especially in the infancy of VR, almost unacceptable, right? We want console quality games, and so I don't think that Sony would release this whole separate device that didn't require a PlayStation 6 at all, right? It's like you've got this super powerful console. Why wouldn't you power your headset with it? So I don't think standalone is key. I think wireless might be key for the future.
Possibly. I think the two more tangible, like near future sort of iterations are that you will be able to use PSVR 2 or PSVR 3 with your PC if you're plugged into. I don't actually know what PlayStation games are actually distributed on PC. I think it's via the Epic Games Store. I think they have a partnership with them. So when you play like Death Stranding or God of War on PC, I don't know if there's a PlayStation actual server that you download the games from. But anyway, my point is that there's a chance that you might be able to plug your headset into that. And if they ever do another Vita or something, or a mobile app, you might be able to play VR games remotely when mobile phones are powerful enough to do it. It seems a bit ridiculous now, but mobile phones continue to blow my mind what they're capable of. But I think that is more likely where you still have to plug it in or connect it to a device than it is to have it standalone. They're not going to make it that all the storage is in the headset. Like, the whole point about the headset is they want to make it as least cumbersome as possible. Right.
Agreed. We should probably get back to the actual blog here.
Yeah.
It is interesting to see that. Like, the conversation is split pretty 50-50. TTC RGB says you clearly don't know how good this offer is, comparing it to Meta's headset. Bart Cunningham says, I'm not sure how you think this is too much. Meta Quest Pro is triple this and not nearly as good. Here, I'm just going to keep scrolling down here. I feel like we need to get a little bit away from. Are these all people just responding to the guy talking about the price?
Yeah, there was a lot of that. Yeah, you have to scroll down quite a lot to.
Okay.
Normally you have to expand them, but you don't here. It's just no. We're going to list it all there.
The very next comment after the price is Max Diehard saying, "Where can I register?" It's like, all right,
Yeah.
He's like here I am, I'm on board. And then we got a GameCat here, Gray Matter Shades, also known as Shades of Gray Matter in our community, says a bit more expensive than I was hoping, but the hardware looks amazing. I have to take a closer look at the launch lineup, decide whether I want to buy it at launch. Also, what the fuck, Sony? Why is this announcement being made as a blog post? This was launch of new hardware. Make a video for fuck's sake. And again, I think Miles and I both agree on both points here, right? We agree that we need to see what the actual launch lineup will be. They're making some great strides towards creating a great launch lineup, which I think if you take what's already been announced and you start figuring out which games will be there at launch, which games will be there soon after, which ones are in the launch window, which games probably are a year out. I mean, this is the most amazing VR launch lineup we've ever had for any console ever, right? Even if you just take what's been announced right now, right, with 4 months until launch, it's still way better than the PSVR 1 launch lineup, which was, I thought, pretty phenomenal. There's a lot of great games in the PSVR 1 launch lineup.
Yeah, I was just looking at on one of the newer pages, and you don't have to bring this up. I'll just read it. But like these are two that relate kind of to what you were talking about, the game lineup. So your hero Chris said, registered to get one. Oh, I've actually just read the wrong one. Then it was someone was saying no backwards compatibility from Danny74. Another one said Sushi Combo, the fact that this new version does not even contain any sort of backwards compatibility is such a hard sell at this price point. Again, I totally understand that, because if you're investing a lot, you want to feel that you can carry a lot of games. But I do think over the next 4 months, more and more games are going to come forward and say, no, we are doing a PS5 version. And as I've mentioned before, there have been a lot of games where, like No Man's Sky, there's a PS5 version, but to play VR, you have to play the PS4 version. But the understanding is that PS5 versions will be released, and that is the version that is for PSVR2. So I think that once people start seeing which of their games are getting upgrades, that will be the tipping point for a lot of people. And I think that's the legitimate tipping point.
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing a lot of developers talk about their plans for PSVR 2 and about getting their PSVR 1 games over there, and I think we're going to see a whole lot more of that over the next few months. I think the big question on everyone's mind regarding these PSVR 2, I don't know if you call them remasters or upgrades or patches, whatever you want to call them, is what Sony's going to do. Like, are we getting Astrobot Rescue Mission? Will it be there at launch? Will it be remastered for 4K? Are we getting Blood and Truth? Are we getting Everybody's Golf? Right? What exactly is the plan here? Right? And so, and I kind of have there's a part of me that's like, man, fuck Everybody's Golf, right? It's like because Everybody's Golf, what they should do is just sell Everybody's Golf to VR, right? Include all the courses, all the caddies, all the everything from the original, with the option to turn the caddies off this time. Add multiplayer support and add like 20 more courses and whatever, and charge full price for it, right? Give us the full-fledged game that we wanted with multiplayer. And since the sequel includes everything the original had, we don't need the original anymore. Right? Literally no reason to go back to the original whatsoever, because all that content is there, but now better. And so there are a couple exceptions like that. Same thing with Gran Turismo Sport, right? We got a piece of that game in VR, but if Gran Turismo 7 gives us all of that and more, well, then I don't think we need Sport remastered in VR. We need Gran Turismo 7 to give us everything, so that we don't feel like we're missing out on not having Sport in VR.
I agree. And I do think, though, that the price of this new headset does make the backwards compatibility concerns among some people more legitimate. Yeah. I don't agree with it. But then the people in the chat that are saying backwards compatibility is stupid, it might be for you. But again, it goes back to the fact that gaming is a luxury. There are a lot of people that have invested a lot of money into VR games. And the fact they're like, I want to get the next one. Yeah. But then I have to start with a blank slate. Again, we're not saying that because there are going to be free upgrades and we will see them. But the idea of a blank slate and, now do I have to keep my old headset, and now do I have to keep switching between the two? I can understand that frustration. And, for those of us that don't think it's an issue at all, I'd say that we're privileged and lucky that we don't. If you don't feel that way, good for you. But I can totally understand for people that are thinking, well, I remember Rush of Blood. I always wanted to play it, but I wasn't willing to keep setting up it on the PS4, my PS4, to play it without the pausing glitch.
Right.
And it's a real shame because that's a game I would have loved to have experienced on the PS5.
Dude, and seeing that we're getting Switchback and there's still like some kind of working relationship between Supermassive and Sony gives me so much faith that we're going to see Rush of Blood. Also, and this, I don't want.
I reckon they might throw it in. They might throw it in for free with the new game.
Dude, you and I had a whole episode about a PlayStation Plus PSVR 2 collection. This,
right.
I mean, I think Sony would do wonders by saying, "Hey, we're giving you a remastered Astrobot, remastered Everybody's Golf, remastered Blood and Truth, remastered this, remastered that. Get some third parties to work with them, and then have all these remasters, 20 remasters at the launch of PSVR 2. Some of the best games that were ever on PSVR 1, but now in 4K with haptics in the headset and and adaptive triggers for free, right? So talk about a free game." You know, who was it? Was it Mark Pringles that asked if there'd be a free game at launch? Well, we don't know, but man, they made an amazing move with the Plus collection for PlayStation 5. Like, that was one of the most pro-consumer things I'd ever seen in my life. Being like, here's 20 of the best games ever on PS4. Here you go, for free. Just as part of your subscription.
When did they announce it for the PS5? They did it after the pricing, because again, that could be a post-Christmas thing of where they do say on a showcase, we know that times are tough, which is literally the framing of the PlayStation Plus collection for the PS5, but they'll do the same again. We've got all these great games. We know times are tough, so anyone that gets PSVR 2 is going to have access to this PSVR collection. So that because as I've said, right now, if you are going to fork out money for the PSVR 2, that is without any games, unless you get the Horizon one.
Yeah.
By the way, that means that the Horizon game is worth what, $40 in the bundle?
Well, so there to bring it up to, I mean, the bundle makes it seem like it's a $50 game if the bundle doesn't save you any money, right? And so usually you save $10-$20 by getting the bundle.
Right.
It's a big mystery, man. I have no idea. And actually, in the chat, who was it? Samuel Yu. What up, Samuel Yu? Said, "Hi, Brian. Are you planning on getting the Horizon Call of the Mountain PSVR 2 bundle or just the main bundle itself?" Samuel, I'm a big fan of physical games. Like, let me do my best game show movement here. Look at this. I love my physical games. I'm so done with physical games from this generation on. I love collecting old stuff. Have zero interest in collecting new stuff. So I think I'm going digital only for PSVR 2. Plus, dude, when I went to play Resident Evil 7 the other day, I couldn't find my disc. I was like, come on. And I opened the case and it wasn't there. And I was like, fuck this. I'm going digital, man. I'm going digital. The last thing you want to do with a headset on is take the thing off or click the pass-through button and be like, where's my disc? I just want to play a game. Just download it from your library. It's so much easier. What's your plan on this? Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm just going to get the regular, but actually, could you put me on full screen right now, Brian? And anyone watching, I want you to clip this and tweet this at Fire Sprite.
Hold on, that's
Fire Sprite. Fire Sprite, the Persistence Enhanced Edition is amazing. Please make that a PSVR 2 launch title. Thank you. That's it. That'd be amazing.
Yep, 100% agree. And that's another one, right? That was another huge PSVR 1 title, just one of many that could be part of the PlayStation Plus collection, that could be just remastered and brought to PSVR 2. Yeah, dude, it's so many great games. And that's why, you know, we don't I'm a huge fan of backwards compatibility. I want backwards compatibility in everything that I own, right? If it's not possible or it costs too much money or whatever else, if there are issues doing it, if it's a marketing nightmare, then, you know, shit happens. But like, I want to still be able to play these games one way or another. And it seems like a lot of studios are going to make sure that these games do not get stuck on PSVR 1. And I can't imagine that Sony owning Firesprite would ever allow the Persistence. I mean, imagine having two hands in the Persistence. Come on. Like,
yeah.
Oh, it'd be so much better. One of the few complaints we had was that it was DualShock only. Unbelievable. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just going to ramble on about other games I want to see, but we've done that before.
We have too. I mean, I feel like half of our shows recently are just us referencing other shows we've already done.
But that's fine.
And Nick in the chat says, "Listen to him, Firesprite. Damn it." let's see here. Before we get back to the tips, Jason Voorhees. Ooh, I did it phonetically, and I was correct. Said state of play next week. I think we're getting something sometime soon. I know a lot of people have kind of said, oh, there's no chance in hell we're getting anything this year now. I disagree. I do think that maybe it doesn't even have to be the day pre-orders go live. It could be after pre-orders go live. It could see Sony could see how well PSVR 2 is selling. I do firmly believe that Sony's being a little bit reactionary this generation. Obviously, they're waiting for they're waiting for Microsoft to go first. They're waiting for Oculus to go first, and then they kind of like react, right? And so I think their newest reactionary move would be open pre-orders, and with all the information that's out there right now, see how much more they need to reveal. Do we need to reveal more AAA games? Do we need to reveal what's happening, holiday 2023? Do we need to reveal some hybrid games? What is it going to take to sell these headsets? And I think that if the pre-orders for PSVR 2 are underwhelming, I think that state of play is going to be more impressive. And if headsets are selling like crazy, I think we'll get like just the bare minimum, right? Here's a couple new games. Here's some longer looks at these things. Here's Mark Cerny. He's going to do a tech breakdown, right? The things that like we are expecting, but nothing crazy or blows out of the water. I think they're very reactionary, and they're not going to tell us more until they absolutely have to. That's my guess.
Yeah, there's also the fact that they know that the biggest they don't have to push for selling these PSVR 2s at launch because they've calculated the number of hardcore people that are going to buy them regardless. Once they've sold that, that's when they would announce a hybrid game of a big IP, potentially. Because they're like, now, how do we get the next type of... This is what I felt with the marketing for PSVR 2 all along. We kept on saying, when are they going to now appeal to the wider audience? And I think that's not been a part of the strategy.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like the second phase. And now I'm pretty much convinced, actually, no, all the way up until launch, their strategy is transferring people across, which is a smart one. That's phase one. Phase two is then you've got social proofing, you've got all these people broadcasting it, talking about how good it is, you've got people going at friends' houses, and then it's like, now we do the next push. If you haven't got it yet, now's the time to jump in, because not only is it a great game, but you probably know a friend that's already playing it and is ready to jump in the Fortnite island with you, or do a raid in Destiny together, or go shooting in Grand Theft Auto out of cars that he's driving and stuff. Like, there's going to be lots of great stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. Genetic Blasphemy, the oozing game cat like mass. I just had to I just changed my my Discord name back from Halloween. I felt like the guy that still had Halloween decorations up. Like, yeah, don't do it now, or it'll actually screw this up somehow. Yeah, I felt like the guy who had Halloween decorations up like Christmas still. I was like, oh man, I'm still Brian Skellington. I'm reluctantly changing my name back until next year. Although
mine was so easy to do, Brian.
Yeah.
Miles Dyer. It's like, yep. Die in capitals. Right. I'm sorry.
Although we do, what is October, November, December, January, February, March, April? In April, we celebrate half Halloween.
Oh, really?
Yeah, okay. I've made that a thing. I think other people made that a thing before me, but I thought I was being original. And half Halloween. Yeah, people celebrate Christmas in July. Fuck that. Half Halloween. All right. Genetic Blasphemy, the oozing game cat like mass with a $5 tip, says so many people didn't buy PSVR 1 because they felt VR, quote, wasn't there yet. I'm seeing many of those people saying PSVR 2 looks like it's, quote, there.
Yeah, that's true.
I thought those people were full of shit. I'm not going to lie, Miles. I thought those people were like, I just don't want to. Right? I just don't want to use it. I just don't think it's, And then, I've been seeing the exact same thing. People who were not interested in VR last gen are now like, oh, yes, I've been wanting console quality games. And now we get console quality games, PS5 games that run in VR. Here you go. So I agree. I think this is I think despite the relatively high price tag, I think we're going to see a lot more gamers jump into VR this gen than ever before.
Yeah. I'm always one for a thought experiment, Brian, and this one's a bit of an unpleasant one. And I was thinking, if I was not a host on PSVR about Parole, what price would be the line where I would actually consider not getting it at launch? Because I did think about it when I saw it at $550. I thought, I do feel myself getting pushed a little bit, but I was like, okay. But I'm like, $600? Oh, man. Like I do think it is like, and the reason I say that is to empathize with people that aren't that are just like, they don't watch these shows necessarily, but they like VR. They want to get the next one, but they're not the hardcore that are looking at the news every day.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's going to be a lot of people that will look at it and go, yeah, I can't. I just can't. I'm going to wait a little bit. And that's fine. If people choose to do that, totally respect it.
Obviously.
But I do, yeah, but I do feel that 550, it's definitely really pushing it.
Yeah, I mean, as part of your thought experiment, I will say I can't imagine a price that I wouldn't pay. Like this is like this really is, and I know it's going to sound really hyperbolic for me to say.
I think I'm the same as you though, Brian. I don't think there's a price that would have stopped me. If it was 900, I think I'd still do it.
You find a way, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think you and I are in much different situations than a lot of the world. Like I personally, I don't own a home, right? I don't have to worry about like replacing shingles on my roof after the storm goes by, Nick, right?
Right.
I don't have to worry about. I'm also single. Like in my Jeep is like 25 years old. Like I don't have car payments or big expenses. Like that's the reason I can do without Parole on like this minuscule budget, because I don't need a whole lot of income in order to keep this stuff running.
Yeah.
And so, but I still find myself, picking up things that I don't need. Like I bought a Steam Deck, Miles. The only thing I bought, and I only got it because I was like, oh, I don't know if like my pre. I clicked. No, not a Stream Deck.
Oh, Steam Deck.
I also
Not interested.
I can't quite get my.
You do have a Steam Deck. You do have a Stream Deck.
I can't get there. It is. I kind of.
There we go.
I also have a Stream Deck.
Sorry,
No,
Steam Deck.
Steam
yes,
Deck, right? And I only bought it because of because of FOMO, and because I was like, I'm not a PC gamer, but I was like, but I could be. I could totally be a PC gamer if I had a Steam. And I've played Days Gone a lot, and I love Days Gone, but I totally could have played that on the PlayStation 5 for free, Miles, because it was part of the Plus collection. And it's and so it's I buy shit that I don't need because I love gaming. I just love gaming, and so. When I look at something like a Steam Deck compared to how much I really want a PSVR 2, when I say, I was about to say this before, I'm not being hyperbolic when I say this, that PSVR 2 is the thing that I'm looking forward to most in life. And you can make fun of me all you want in the chat for this, right? I have not had a lot of things in my life that I've been looking forward to. There are not a lot of big events that I look forward to. The thing that kept me going prior to the channel was E3 every year, right? I would take the day off from work. I would get a big bottle of vodka. I'd order a pizza and snacks, and I would unfold my couch into a bed, and like I would spend the day in front of my TV, just like being so excited about all these new game announcements when Microsoft and Sony and all these different big publishers would reveal what they've been working on in secret, right? That's what kept me going. And E3 is not really that exciting anymore, or even barely exists anymore. The Game Awards, really just this bloated event where like, yeah, we get some cool announcements, but man, it takes so long. In the Summer Game Fest, right? Nothing has really replaced it very well. And so PSVR 1 was this thing that like got me so excited about game again, just when things were getting really stale. And now that VR has become really stale for like the last 2 years almost, PSVR 2 is the thing I've looked forward to more than anything else. And like, there's this little devil sitting on my shoulder that keeps saying, you're not going to make it to PSVR 2's launch because that would be too good. And you don't deserve good things in your life, Brian. Something terrible is going to happen. And so fuck it, man. If it's $1,500, I'll fucking buy it because this is the thing I'm looking forward to in life most. And I might not even make it. Like, the devil's telling me I might not. So, like, let's fucking do this, man. Nothing matters after PSVR 2. It's going to be a shit show, Miles. It's going to be a shit show. Brian's going to go crazy after I have this thing.
Good, man.
Nothing else on the bucket list, Miles.
True. But with the solidarity of the chat, you do deserve it, Brian. You've done so much for this community, and it's going to be so amazing once we get there and we get to enjoy it together and share social spaces, Ghostbusters, blasting ghosts. Yeah. Dude, it's going to be so good. It's going to be so good.
But that was the super long-winded way to answer your thought experiment, is that like, yeah, there's no price I wouldn't pay. Because this is what I care about the most. Kilocell 7.
I want to
please say it.
Can I quickly say there's 280 people watching right now, but 98 likes. So I actually drew a little like.
Can you draw a check mark to get me verified on Twitter for free?
Yeah, you just do that now. I'll pay $8 to Elon Musk. Yeah.
Yeah. So now it means nothing. KillCell777 forever with a $20 tip says, Matt, I love you guys. Hope you're doing well, Brian. Well, dude, I'm there. I'm here, man. I'm here. That's we won't go any further than that. Josh Cat with the $5 tip says, Quest 2 will last about 3 years before Quest 3 takes over. PSVR 2 shall last us about 6 years, less than $100 a year. Good investment, in my opinion. I mean, again, to play the games that I've been most excited about, to finally play Resident Evil Village after years of speculation, wondering if it's actually going to hit VR, if we're going to get it on PSVR 1, if we're going to get it on PSVR 2. Really, these are some of the greatest times in VR. I mean, I say the greatest times in gaming ever. I think, this is such a slow period where we're like, come on, Sony, tell us everything, just come on. And it's still, even without knowing a tenth of what's going on behind the scenes at Sony, it's still the most exciting time for gaming that I can remember since like PlayStation 1. PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 ever. This is the last time I've been this excited about gaming.
It's amazing, man. Can I just say something from Serial Killer, the Stash in a Flash Game Cat? I didn't actually know this. Really important. It said, remember, if you get it from Sony Direct Store, you don't owe any money until it ships in February. I didn't realize that.
I didn't know that.
That's amazing. I mean, I do believe you, but like, obviously, if anyone finds the contrary, do say. But like, that's amazing. If so,
I mean, serial killer's the man. Like, I mean, I trust him implicitly. Yeah. Sirens on my end.
Yeah.
That's
amazing. If so,
it's amazing. Like amazing, because now it suddenly becomes this thing where it's like, okay, really. It suddenly becomes this thing where I am saving literally for the next 4 months. It's like, every time I go to order a pizza, I go, no, PSVR 2 fund. Every time I'd go do a Go Puff order, like, no, PSVR 2 fund, right? Like literally saving all of my pennies and making it happen. It's in their FAQ. Thank you, Serial Killer.
Amazing.
Which is really the best news ever. Breaking news. That's really cool. Okay. Sorry,
because I was talking to some friends saying, like, they were saying I might do some overtime to pay it, and I was like, in the UK we have Clara. I don't know if you have similar things, but they're the whole pay it and then it pays up front, but then you pay that company monthly. Okay. It's like kind of like a credit card, but they're more like not actual credit cards. Mm-hmm. But then this is like allows you to do that by yourself. So just create a pot and just pay a quarter of it each month, and then enjoy it when the time comes.
I'm so much more excited about this now than I was before. Because, there's some talk in the chat, Miles, about Resident Evil 7.
Okay.
And again, another PSVR 1 exclusive that would be absolutely perfect to get a PSVR 2 remaster to be part of a Plus collection. Just saying, Sony could kill this, man, right? To be like, listen, we understand the headset's really expensive, but here's 20 games you can't live without in VR, remastered for PSVR 2. I mean, immediately you'd be like, that now we're breaking even, right? We just spent $550 and got 20 games. I think that would be an amazing way to start the generation off. So,
totally agree.
Again, 2 hands in RE7, man. That would be so much scarier than being able to hide behind my DualShock like I do. I don't know if you saw my recent stream, but man, I was like legit playing Nightmare mode, and I didn't even realize I'm doing it until I become a little more self-aware. I'm holding the DualShock this close to me as if it's a shield, as if I'm hiding behind it. But to have 2 hands out there in the world, you're so much more vulnerable, and like to push doors open yourself instead of just like clicking a button or something. Oh man, it would be so much freakier.
Yeah.
Do we want to keep going down? I feel like we should. We didn't actually read as many comments as I expected us to.
But no, well, we did, like, before the show, have a look, and we have picked out kind of the general consensus of it. It's like people I think that the top line things is there are people that are like more expensive than the console. Mm-hmm. Some saying, is it actually worth the price? Backwards compatibility. There's people that just go, oh, this is Sony being out in touch. People talk about inflation. So look, the price is. Some people have gone still wide, huh, Sony? No, I'm good. These are all the arguments that we've seen. This just shows you how the internet is. There are people that have made up their minds. Yep. And actually, I really respect a lot of the game cats who comment on videos with such positivity, because one of the reasons I don't really comment on a video is I'm just always, like, in the live chat I'll comment, but I'm just like, I can't be bothered to compete with negative people. But
Yeah.
Without the positive comments out there, it would be even more of a shithole.
Yeah, and I also do want to say, hopefully everybody knows I'm joking and I fucking yell and scream and say "fuck you" or whatever. Like, I mean, if you're new around here, then maybe you don't get that I'm joking. But I do love everybody out there, even if we have opinions, and kind of especially if we have conflicting opinions, because that's I am no more qualified to be up here saying what I think should be right and what I think should be happening than any other gamer out there who is super passionate about VR, about video games. I totally respect everyone's opinion as long as you're not a douchebag about presenting it. That's the only caveat. If you're not a douchebag about presenting your opinion,
right,
then I fucking respect you and your opinion.
Nick, the game cat house said arguments go nowhere. My general rule is if you read a comment and it's not constructive, so if someone says in a comment on my video, "Miles, you're a piece of shit," and then says something, I do actually respond and I give them an opportunity. And sometimes they go, "Actually, yeah, that I didn't need to say that. It seems all right." But the other way I do it is if you read a comment and it looks like they've typed the comment and gone, and that's that. If you can imagine them crossing their arms afterwards and sort of half turning away, then it's not worth engaging with. And there's a lot of them that like that going, "Wide, nah, I'm good."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's literally what they've done there. So there's a lot of people that have already made up their mind. Don't engage in those conversations. People are just there to sort of agitate and they're not there to convince anyone. They're there just to sort of poke and create engagement. If there are people that are generally saying, "Yeah, backwards compatibility is a concern," I always like to assume people have good intent. Engage with them, and you might find that you actually bring them on side. Don't think of everyone as like, "Oh, they're a lost cause. They're not going to buy PSVR 2."
Right.
If they're actually got a concern and you respond to it, they might go, "Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Actually, yeah, maybe I will." And that's how you build community. It's how you bring more people on side. And it's totally fine for people to have concerns because it's a lot of money. It's a big investment.
Yeah. The lucky thing here is, Miles, and I don't mean to be like flippant about it, but if you don't like what Sony's doing, vote with your wallet and do not buy it. A lot of people said PSVR 1 has been sitting on my shelf collecting dust for the better part of 6 years. And I said, well, maybe this isn't for you. Like, it's okay not to buy something, right? If you don't like the way this is being handled, if backwards compatibility is a make it or break it deal for you, if it's a complete deal breaker, if whatever, right, whatever it is, if the price tag is too much for you, then vote with your wallet. And I think too many people jump up and down, yell and scream about Call of Duty being not what they want, and then they buy it every year. And so what's Activision going to do? They're going to keep doing the same shit they always do because people are not voting with their wallets. It seems like that might be turning around, though. I've been hearing rumors that Call of Duty sales, despite being amazing, are nowhere near as amazing as they once were. So yeah, man, vote with your wallet, and it's great to be vocal out there, but back up what you're saying with your actions. Otherwise, no one's going to learn. That's the only way businesses will ever pay attention, is if you don't buy their shit. Miles, I brought this up just as a nice positive way to go out here. I brought up the PlayStation Store page. Now, usually the PlayStation Store page is the bane of my existence, and this is the PC version, which is the worst version, I think, because it usually doesn't even show screenshots or videos or anything like that. But you do go here to PlayStation Store, and right off the bat, you see is of course God of War. It makes sense to be right there, front and center. That game's just about to come out. Got amazing reviews everywhere. Scroll down just a little bit, and PlayStation VR2 is the very second tile here.
Next generation.
And so if you click on that, let's see what happens. It brings you right to the store page. We got Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, Firewall Ultra, Demio, Cities VR, Cosmonius High, The Light Brigade, Tentacular, Hello Neighbor, Dark Pictures Switchback, and then Jurassic World Aftermath.
Question, is Hello Neighbor a horror game?
So I was talking to Jay Meow, who puts this up on podcast services of your choice for your oral pleasure.
Legend.
And he has played Hello Neighbor on the flat screen. I think there's two of them. I think he said he played the first one.
Yes.
He said, and it's terrifying. He said, even though it's cartoony, he said, think about that first area in Resident Evil 7 where you're being chased by Jack. He goes, it's like that for the whole fucking game. He's like, so don't dismiss it because of the cartoony look, Emily Baxter. Make sure you check it out, because if you like scary shit, in VR is going to be terrifying.
I was going to say, I was saying if people don't think it's a horror game, I think the VR version will make it, because Yeah, I've just seen the trailer where it picks up a key and you turn around and the guy's literally there. Oh man, yeah.
Yeah. So this again, it's a little. I hope Sony gets their shit together and puts Horizon Call of the Mountain on here, puts Village here, and just it really starts populating this list. Good first step. I mean, and honestly, I'm just going to click on one of these to kind of prove my point. Let's go to Firewall Ultra, which we've known about for a while. Nothing. Look at. It's literally got a one sentence description. And
less than the blog post.
Less than the blog post. One sentence. Yeah, why not copy and paste the blog post over here? And also, Miles, this drives me insane to no end. No screenshots. Like I could complain about there not being a trailer here, but there's not even a screenshot of the game. It's like, and so this just shows that this is not even the same store that the PlayStation 5 is using, because at least the PlayStation 5, screenshots and videos, whatever else. But the PlayStation Store on the PC never has screenshots, and this is the store I'm in 90% of the time because I'm at my computer 90% of my day. It's mind-boggling that they don't have this shit together. But
to be fair, though, they have confirmed it is a shooter, so that's good.
Oh, at least we know what genre it is. All right.
I like that. I might play it.
So I said I was going to end on a high note, and I fucking did not do that at all. I just sat here and bitched about the PlayStation Store. So I don't know. 6 of 1. Mouse, whose turn is it for 20 questions? Is it my turn to ask you?
I think it's my turn to come up with a game.
Do you happen to have one?
I'll come up with one now, and soon we're going to have to do just PSVR2 games. When there's 10 games.
Soon the very first question will have
questions,
to. Soon the very first question will have to be: is it a PSVR 1 game? Right. Because, dude, so they do this. We stole this game from GameScoop. So if there's any IGN fans out there, I know they're fewer and further between these days. But GameScoop, I still think, is an amazing show. I think Damon Hatfield does a great job hosting that thing. And so they do video game 20 questions at the end of all their shows. Right? It's become very popular, and I stole it. You're welcome. But they do all video games. Of all video games ever made in the entire history of video games. And so they take like 10 questions just narrowing down what platform it's on. Right? And so we have it super easy over here. So the fact that we ever lose is a little embarrassing. Because we already know what platform it's on, and that gives us an extra 10 questions to figure shit out. It's kind of crazy. So yeah. Nick the Game Cat House says everyone steals. But that doesn't make it okay. If I jump off a bridge... Actually, you can all jump off a bridge with me. I feel like the Church of Game Cat will end in a very... very tragic way. Miles, do you have a game picked out? This is
almost.
I love shows like this where there's like this constant undercurrent of just like real depressing shit coming from my side of the screen.
I love it.
I'm like, Brian's gonna kill himself. It's like, no. Just making everybody uncomfortable is part of the fun.
All right. Let's go with this.
All right. Guys, you know how this works. Miles has a PSVR game. Hopefully not a PSVR 2 game yet in his head. And you guys out there and me over here, we have 20 yes or no questions to figure out what game he's thinking of. I'm going to put 6 minutes up on the clock up on the counter the way that Jeremy likes it. And we're going to figure this shit out. On our mark. Get Des. Go. That didn't work. Where is the timer? Oh, God. I hate myself so much sometimes. Hold on.
How do I answer that? Yes or no?
You don't.
Where is the timer? No.
And go. Okay, I found it. Is this game playable on a flat screen?
Yes.
Whoa.
Why you ask all these questions that are so good?
Is this game?
Please don't get it in 3.
Every week made by
quicker.
Is this game The Persistence? Is this game made by a Sony first party studio? A now Sony first party studio?
I would hate you so much, but no, it's not.
Okay. Has this game been announced to have a PSVR 2 version coming?
No.
Okay.
3.
Because all of these questions would have really
I don't know
helped.
if this is a massive clue, but I'm just like, I wish. But yeah.
No, so it's a good game. We know this.
Yeah, because I have good taste in games. I'm glad you agree, Brian.
Is it a horror game?
No. 4.
That eliminates quite a few. Is the thing you're doing in this game primarily shooting?
No. 5.
Wow. Would you call this a puzzle game?
Yeah, 6.
Okay, so you can play this on the flat screen. It's primarily a puzzle game. It's not first party. It hasn't been announced for PSVR 2. It's not horror, no shooting. This means No Man's Sky. Now Ryan is asking if it's a first-person game. I don't know if I want to do that. Okay, is it a first-person game?
No.
Okay, but it's not first-person. Okay, well, that opens up a few possibilities here. Do you control both a character in first person and a character in third person in this game?
No.
Okay, so guys, that eliminates Moss Book 1 and 2. That eliminates Among Us.
I love how that question evolves throughout the months when we ever try and word that in the best way.
So it's a third. Okay, so we got to think of third person games where you're not controlling someone in first person. Serial Code doesn't Sony own the Bound Studio? I forget what they're called now. No, maybe they don't. No, they don't own the Bound Studio. It's primarily a puzzle game. Excellent question. Excellent. Does this? The Ghost game, the Ghost Giant game is you control someone in first person. Down the Rabbit Hole. Has this developer made other PSVR games?
Let me have a look.
If it's Tetris Effect, then yes, they have.
Let me check.
He's wasting time to make it seem like it's not Tetris Effect, you guys. I've known Miles just long enough to read his tells.
Oh yeah, they have made other. They have made. It seems they have made other PSVR games.
You waited for me to take a sip of coffee, didn't you? That was almost.
I didn't actually see you, but that was brilliant. That was so you're a 9.
Was this made by Enhanced Games?
Oh, is it narrative driven? That's a good question, Brian. Do you want to go with that one? Is it made by who?
Enhanced Games.
It is made by Enhanced Games, but still, that question's pretty good about narrative. There is maybe a narrative in this game.
Yeah. Do you think this game possibly could be Tetris Effect, Miles?
I think it possibly could. That's 11.
Tetris Effect connected by Enhanced Games.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
And Crow Alex in the chat was the first one to say it. Man, I would love this to get a PSVR 2. Like even haptics in the headset, like to add to. I don't know how there would be some cool stuff they could do with it. I mean, the haptics even in the hands, like it's so sensory, that game. That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
What other games have Enhanced made?
Res Infinite.
Oh yeah, cool. Oh yeah, cool. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. If they made another one, I'm totally blanking. I'm sure somebody in the chat will correct me. But oh man, I'm really hoping, honestly, I think Res will be perfect. I mean, because they did so much with vibration all the way back on Dreamcast. They did when they released this separate wand type thing, which everyone made fun of as a sex toy, where it's like you could actually like shove it underneath like the cushions of your couch, and then so while you're playing, your couch is kind of going bzz, 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 like along with the pulsating music.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so I think haptics in the headset for Res Infinite would be amazing.
Yeah. Right.
And really, especially using the adaptive triggers and everything like that. I think we'd those games definitely deserve a PSVR 2 upgrade. Tetris Plus PS1. Sorry, I just read your comment, Defunct Bomb Bro.
I love there are people in the comments that are clearly watching this on delay and they're still asking questions.
Is it from a known IP? Yeah. Shades of Grey Matter says, I prefer Res 2, but Tetris Effect PSVR 2 would be cool too. Res 2, yeah, man, we've kind of been playing the same Res game for a while. So while I want an upgraded version of Res 1, Res Infinite, I absolutely want a new Res game as well. The Trans Vibrator, thank you, Shades, that's what it was called. The most suggestive peripheral before the moves.
Moves, yeah.
Nice. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out today. This has been a nice, long GAMESCAST. I really did think at the beginning of the show, I was like, man, are we phoning it in today, just reading people's comments? But I feel like this was absolutely perfect. This is what I needed. I felt like it was almost like therapeutic. Felt great, Miles.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you were here and we get to hang out in a more traditional format than we have for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And like the chat's been great. All the tips, huge thanks to everyone who's been tipping and supporting the show that way. Get on Discord if you haven't already, because there's a lot of people that are new to the channel this week with all the big news. I mean, I saw what you and AJ and Wes did on Wednesday, and yeah, you had huge figures. I think it was like over 500 at some point. So lots of new people that have stumbled across, and yeah, just get on the Discord. It's going to be an exciting 4 months, and obviously a great celebration when the day finally comes. But if you haven't already, go to Sony Direct, do register if you haven't already. Because even if you're unsure if you're going to get it, just do it for peace of mind, just so you get your foot in the door.
Well, and that new information that Serial Killer delivered, knowing that we don't have to pay until it ships. Oh, my God, dude. Oh, I'm so much happier about this now. So much happier. I can totally save some money for the next few months. Wonder Rob with the $5 tip will close us out. It says, I'm doing art class with my niece tonight, so I got a dash. But hey, Game Cats, I love y'all. Thank you so much.
We love you all too.
Thank you for swinging by. Enjoy art class with your niece. Guys, so many people help this channel run, and just, if you don't know that Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry is the one who puts all the timestamps into this show after it goes live, the dude's killing it and making my life easier, and really making all your lives easier. There's a bunch of people who don't want to sit through a 2-hour show and just want to jump around to to the topic they want to hear about. And so thank you so much, Sci-Fi, for making that happen. Jay Meow, of course, gets us up on podcast services of your choice. He says the numbers are doing pretty well. We're actually getting a lot of audio-only listeners, which is pretty cool. So thank you, everybody out there in audio podcast land, and thank you to Jay Meow for uploading it for us. Also, dude, the moderators, just I really I thank them on every single episode, I think, but really, like they'll never know how important they are to me, because if I sleep in, man, and shit went down, like they've got it covered. They really make my life so much easier, and I don't say that lightly. So thank you to all the moderators out there. I have no idea why you do this for me, but I love you for it. And of course, thank you to all our Patreon supporters. I swear that I'll update that scroll at the bottom of the page for our $3 plus supporters. I swear again that I'm going to have some exclusive content coming for the $5 plus supporters. Litterbox episodes for everybody, and of course, Why We Love episodes are still in the works as well. Finally getting back on a schedule. Hopefully we can make that happen this month. A lot of stuff in the works. So thank you to everybody who supports us on Patreon. Thank you to everybody who tipped during the show. Thank you to everybody who helped during 20 questions. And of course, thank you to everybody who sat back and watched the show and didn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there, and we love you just as much. Let's get out of here, Miles.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Much love.
this thumbnail, man.
Well, I was going to say, Brian, I don't have a clip of the week in VR, but there is that other clip of me screaming, which always makes people laugh. Because I think if the thumbnail was me screaming in a megaphone, we should just play the quick clip of me screaming.
Which is the clip?
It's the one of me.
You sent two videos earlier. Is one of those?
Yeah, I did.
Do you know?
So, yeah, the one.
Which one is it?
Let me have a look. I'll literally get you the name of it now. So it's the 1044.
1044. All right. Well, let's see what we got here.
Put Brian on the spot here.
Yeah.
This was not planned.
Well, here,
and I'm gonna get in shit for it afterwards.
I don't know if this is the thing. You said 1044. Okay. I don't know. Let's see if this works. I'm just going to hit a button, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Exactly.
But
I love this.
let's try.
On the edge.
Oh, it's sideways.
Oh, is it? Yeah. I can play sideways.
Nice. Oh, that was great, man. That was great. An awesome way to
I'll
celebrate
tell you what, man.
2 birthdays out there. Not only is it Kava's birthday, it's also Vincent's birthday. Got a lot of birthdays going out there today. Hopefully you're all having a great birthday. What do you got, man?
I was just saying it's really hard to perform with those shoes on walls, like walking along the wall like that.
Favorite comment, Dan Kiefer says, wow, they've really improved the graphics in Rec Room.
Man.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I haven't got anything to that. I'm just like, yeah, you got me.
Happy weekend, everybody. We love you all, and we'll see you hopefully over on Discord and playing After the Fall on Sunday. Wow.
Wow.